What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be covering a video on the faction abyss and we're going to go through each faction as they stand. So we're going to look at them like this, go through the legends and then the epics and also the mythics, you know, just because they can be so huge for us progressing through faction abyss. Which heroes should we use and kind of what heroes we should use together, really. So I mean, first one up is Dragon Tribe, and Brynhild, well, she's not really a massive PvE hero and she's not going to do anything against the boss either, but she may help you clear some of the waves prior to that, even though we have the likes of, say, Melia, Hizonia, Nasil can be useful as well. Hoff is a fantastic combination with any of these DPS because he just really, you know, AoE feebleness, AoE health burn alongside Hizonia and Melia can really help. Majority of you have Paulin. He's going to really make your team stronger, more tanky, more survivable. Santa, well, if you have him, I obviously chose not to have him because, you know, I just didn't want to focus my content on having Santa in my team. I don't feel like that many people can relate to that, and I have already so many other exclusives. Natalie potentially she's an average. She's not going to do a lot, not compared to Melia, Hizonia. Nasil's going to bring in that CC for you. Paulin is a fantastic hero. Hoff is another fantastic hero. Vera isn't going to do much, I will be honest. She's not going to do a lot for you. She's very lackluster. Greta is more PvP based. Ariel could probably do a minute amount, but nothing when we get to the bosses. The main ones that we really need for Dragon Tribe are Hizonia and Melia, Hoff, Paulin, Santa, of course. Sinov can be huge here. She can be really huge here. Also, Reeves will be very good against the boss. So if you have, you know, the likes of Hizonia and Hoff, or Melia and Hoff, you know, Reeves can help you target that boss down singly. Also, Wim is, of course, a very good hero to have in your team too, with Consolidation and Shield. Pairing him up with Paulin can really make your team very strong. Don't forget as well, you know, if we're pushing through Faction Abyss, auras are a huge part of our teams. And if we're struggling for heals with, say, Wim and Paulin, it may be a good idea to throw a Recovery Horn aura on one of them. I wouldn't use any of the other epics here. Not really. You're not going to get much use out of them compared to what other ways we can progress through Faction Abyss, you know, with these kind of teams. If you want to do, you know, put a dent in it. Next up, we have Sword Harbor Guards. And of course, Ben Austin is a fantastic hero for this. Especially once he hits E3, you know, it makes the whole world of a difference. Zia, it can be very good, especially paired up with Sigmund and Catherine, because Catherine's going to give your team counter-attack. Zia is going to get critical rates all the time, or you know, she's going to be fully crit rate buffed. So she's always going to critical hit on a basic attack, counter-attack. Sigmund, obviously fantastic, because he has a double counter-attack, and well, we all know this already, that Sigmund is absolutely fantastic. Luz can be very good, however, especially for the wave clearing and survivability of, you know, he's got a couple of exclusives on him. Melina, I would stay away from. Yoko, potentially she could be, you know, she's just going to be bottom. She's not as good as Zia, okay? She's not as good as Zia. She can be useful. She can do a good amount of damage, but not enough against the boss. Our main focus here is Catherine, Zia, Ben Austin, Sigmund, and Bari, believe it or not. Bari can also be very nice. Solly, another hero who can bring a lot of survivability to your team, especially for Faction Abyss. So don't sleep on Solly either. He can be very good for Faction Abyss, keeping your team protected. Epics that we can use. You know, I wouldn't shy away from using Christian in the epics. You know, he can bring some survivability to your team as well. So don't shy away from Christian so much. Abora I wouldn't use. Verto could be very good for your team as well earlier on. He can help you push through. It's Ross. Ross can be very good as well as an epic hero, reducing the enemy turn meter, and it does increase at exclusive 1. He increases his self turn meter. He increases 20% speed for an ally and increases their turn meter by 60%. You know, and again on his basic, he's increasing self turn meter. So Ross as well is another good hero for epic. So if we look at Sword Harbor quickly, it's Ben, Bari, Zia, Solly, Sigmund, Catherine, Luz and Yoko are ifs and maybes if you have them built. You're not going to get a huge amount of progression from them, but they will be nice to add into your team. And then we have Verto, Christian, and Ross. Really where you want to focus on Sword Harbor Guards. Sunset Sages, obviously Nita can be really nice here with her poison damage. along with Slack, though, is fantastic. He's very, very good. Alahan can be very useful as well. Sana, not quite so much. Maybe earlier on in Faction Abyss she'll be useful, but not as we push through it on the later stages. Albert can be very, very good for Faction Abyss. His survivability is very strong, also helping his teammates as well. Naskama's only real use is Horrify. Other than that, and that's mainly for the waves, so not really. Walter can be good with his poison damage, especially paired up with Nita. Horus, that's a tricky one. He'd be good for wave clearing, but he does, it's direct damage again. It's direct damage compared to poison. Yeah, building him direct damage is very tough to keep him alive as well. Guhana is amazing. Hertha would be very good as well in Faction Abyss because, it's bleeds. If you was to pair, I would love to build, say, Slack. I have Slackdo in mine already. Slackdo, Guhana, Albeck, Hertha, and Alahan would be a very strong team. It would be a very strong team. I would like to see that. Other heroes we can use in Sunset Sages is Kulthum, and especially Ruin can be huge in Sunset Sages. If you haven't seen that showcase of him in Sunset Sages, you might want to go and check it. He can be very, very good here, stunning the waves, reducing turn meter on a boss twice. That's huge, but Kulthum would be very, very good here. I wouldn't use any of the other, maybe Shapatite as well, actually. But other than that, I wouldn't use any of these other epics for it. Moving on over to Foresters, we have Luna, who can really push Foresters far with your team. Serena is good earlier on. Gru can help with survivability for your team, especially when he's paired with Luna. Megan can be very good, but, you need to... It's tough because we don't really have an attack buffer other than Luna in Foresters. So you need to have Luna to make this team really work, because with Luna we can use Megan, Maeve, Serena and Gru, or Luna, Gru, Megan, Maeve and Taff, and this kind of team with the slows on the boss as well from Slumber Down, some debuffs from Megan, and the nukes on against the boss, Taff with his poisons, and also, a bit of a heal. And Gru, the survivability really does give you some strength in that. I wouldn't use Teru, I wouldn't use Tifia. Other epic heroes that we can use, I believe Mathka could be pretty good in it as an epic. And is it Offner? Offner could be decently good. The trouble is when we're comparing these to the legends, it's tricky. But they could fit into a team. Also, Pacino will be helpful with, he does only have a 20% shield, but it's still a bit of a help. So if you have those kind of heroes built, then don't be afraid to use them. Was Melassa one of the ones as well that we could use? I know it's some poison. It's not a huge amount, but it is some poison. And, that can help if you're using, say, Taff with any of these other heroes as well to push through it. But it really depends on what route you're going. Doom Legion, well, we have Lucifer, which is a huge help. We have Besmok, but you would need some exclusives on him. Not many of you are going to have Little Jack, so we won't comment on that. Focaz is absolutely huge for Doom Legion. Islay, well, she still needs a rework in my opinion. Jennifer will be good for the earlier stages, but she will drop off later. Margarita isn't going to be a huge amount of help. She's just too squishy, and she only gets that one real big AoE nuke. Other than that, she isn't doing much against the boss. Okmin will be very nice. Gunner can be very nice as well. Lucifer, Besmok, Okmin, Gunner, Focaz, but then we have no heals. Which makes me think, well, okay, Liz has to come in. So Liz is a very good choice as an epic, especially at E3. Liz is fantastic to use. Loof would be very good as well to use. And I'd be interested to see Loof, Creon, Liz in a team, paired up with Focaz and Okmin. That'd be interesting. I'd like to see how far that would get, actually. Maybe I'll have to try it sometime. Maybe I'll note that one down. Guys. But yeah. So I would steer away from Margarita, Little Jack, Elate, Jennifer, and really focus Lucifer, Besmok, Okmin, Gunner, Focaz, Liz, Loof, and Creon, I think are your best kind of choices for it. Moving on over to Holy Light Parliament. Well, Nordak still needs a rework in my opinion. His buffs don't last long enough, but he will help you to some extent with his damage negation. You know, making you damage immunity is huge. It gives us a chance to heal up. Elena is very good. Olga is lackluster. Fiona is very, very nice in Faction Abyss. Shalder, people have built him. They don't rate him hugely. His damage isn't enough. Could it be better? I don't know. I don't know quite enough on Shalder at the moment. Claude, you know, it's tricky. It's really tricky because we don't have huge damage dealers in Holy Light Parliament. But Nordak, Elena, no Olga. Yes, Fiona, no Shalder. Yes, Claude will be helpful. Elena is huge here. I'm sure Elsa is very good as well for survivability. Igor, wow, we did that video on him, and I'm just still not convinced on Igor. I'm still not convinced on Igor. What epics could we use? Well, Anton will be very good. Lily will be very good for damage buffing and shielding as well. Fegan is good. Maya is, you know, we have many good epics in Holy Light Parliament. Kaidon, we have Frey, Maya, Fegan, Anton, and Lily. All of these are very good epics. And, you know, you can definitely use all of them in the Faction Abyss. You definitely use all of them in the Faction Abyss. The Forgotten, well, Allcaster is a very strong hero to be having in the Forgotten. The Forgotten I love because it's so strong on CC. It's so strong on crowd control. It's crazy. So we can use Allcaster. Hisaro is fantastic. Tuck at E1 is absolutely huge for any team. Zyra is very, very good. Gramdy is very good as well. Mai is also nice with the attack down, that kind of thing, and just AoE damage. Not a huge amount. You will need exclusives on Mai if you're wanting to push through Faction Abyss with her. Thanatos can be good as a direct damage dealer as well, but I would really steer towards going for like Allcaster, Hisaro, Tuck, Zyra, and Gramdy, believe it or not. That kind of team. Desharnal is, of course, a very good epic for it. So definitely use Desharnal as well if that's one of your options. The epics aren't too great in the Forgotten, I must admit, not compared to like the Holy Light Parliament, but Desharnal is your target here. Allcaster, Hisaro, Tuck, Zyra, and Gramdy are probably what I would suggest to you to focus on for the Forgotten. Moving on to Eternal Sector, where we have Madalena, who, yes, no, she's not she's not going to put a huge dent in any team. Okay, she's not strong enough. She doesn't really have survivability either. Lamb requires too many exclusives and too much late game build for him to be of much use. Mamet will be very good with the speed up, that kind of thing for your team. Dario can be good, but as we get later on, we start to struggle with direct damage against these bosses. We need damage over time. It's just that simple. Obviously, Quinlan is a huge Eternal Sector damage dealer with his health burns. It's just massive, and freezes as well. Turf can be very good for your team. Ignore Carry, ignore Zach Zulu. Isinda can be very nice with the turn meter reduction and the CC that she provides. Carried, he may be slightly useful. He may be slightly useful with his horrifiers and that kind of thing. But I'm still not, Carried still needs a rework for me. Agatha is very nice in Eternal Sector and Faction Abyss, but she didn't really provide me with a huge boost on where I was already at. I probably progressed an extra 2 stages with Agatha, and well, not many of you are going to have Agatha either. On your epic side of things, then we have the likes of it's Kyo, who will be good for your team, Poseidon, and I'm not really going to recommend Holder. I don't like Holder. But he may help to a certain point. Not much though, so don't go building him for that. Please don't go building him for that. Maguire may even bring you some kind of help with the provoke and shield, that kind of thing. That can help a little bit, but it's not going to be a huge amount to push your team on. Especially if you have the likes of Mamek, Quinlan, Asindo, Quinlan, Asindo, Turf. Agatha is kind of the team I would use, but we have no survivability, right? We have no survivability in that team. So that's why we're looking at Seal and, Maguire as a potential support, because where the hell are the supports in Eternal Sector? There are none. It's crazy. Winx probably could be very good for it. Could be very good for it for reviving our allies if they go down. Potentially, but other than that, we just don't have it. We don't have it. Moving on to Nameless Brotherhood. Lucaia can be very good for Nameless Brotherhood, just with her bleeds. I would move away from Frick unless he's at E1 and he can put that crit damage down, and I think it's attack down 2 as well. That would have been helpful for the buff. Gustav, I wouldn't go building him. It's definitely a PvP. Mutu will be very nice for your team. Sinton with the provokes could also be very, very big for your team. It's helping you save a lot of damage taken, because enemies are targeting him. Eric, I wouldn't use him for Nameless Brotherhood. He's purely to be played with like Bari, honestly. You could get a bit of use from Garena. In Faction Abyss here. Aisha, I would stay away from. Timmy, Timmy. Attack down 2, crit rate down 2 is nice. Consolidation's going to help. It's not going to be a huge push for your team. Speed down 2 is very nice though. But it's not going to be a huge push for your team. So don't go building him thinking you're going to get a massive boost in your Faction Abyss if you do. Lomaz will be very, very nice in Nameless Brotherhood with his damage. We have Dustin, who's a great support. We have Hardak, who is very, very good. You've seen the showcase on him. Lester as well can be very good. Again, we are limited on who we build. These are just to guide you at what heroes I suggest on using in Faction Abyss if you are going to. So Lucaia, Mutu, Sinton, Garena, Timmy, Dustin, Lomaz, Hardak and Lester are good choices, in my opinion. Moving on to Wizard's Eye. Malkia at E3 would be very big for your team, at E3, but before that I wouldn't recommend him. Space is huge, Elik is huge, Slavau is huge, Gilliman is massive, Nidrold is massive. This team here, Space, Elik, Slavau, Gilliman, Nidrold, is probably the best you can kind of get. And then we look down to the epics, and we have a huge epic in Eden, who will be very good for your team. Daisy can help provide a lot for your team. Magus can even provide some heals if you're missing, say, Elik, or you're not going to be missing Space. Let's be honest. Everyone gets her for free. I think Sedora as well. Does Sedora bring anything to the table for us? She has silence, attack down, res debuff, not really, is there? Reduces damage taken by all allies 25% of the damage. That could be kind of handy. So potentially some small use from Sedora. But your aim here is either Malkia if you have him at E3, Space, Elik, Slavau, Gilliman, Nidrold, Daisy, Eden, Magus, and potentially Sedora. Potentially. I think Visley as well brings something. Yeah, attack down 2 can be nice for it. And then the buffs for speed and that kind of thing. But then we would use Eden for that. So that's my kind of input on Wizard's Eye. And that's it. We're done. Wow, we got through it that quick. I hope that helps some of you. I hope that gives some of you some good advice that you needed to hear. If you was just wondering about Faction Abyss, which heroes are going to help you push through it most. And that's my input on it. You can see my Faction Abyss here. I'm pushed through quite far, 652 on the actual scale. It's tough, and it requires a lot of hero building, So I wish you all the best of luck. Have a great day or evening wherever you are. Take care.